Welcome to Your Wedding Unlimited, a podcast for couples who want a wedding day that feels personal, authentic, and true to them. I'm Abby, UK wedding planner and owner of Elegance Unlimited, here to help you reinvent tradition and plan a wedding day that genuinely tells your love story. I cannot wait to get started, so let's get planning. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Your Wedding Unlimited podcast. My name is Abby. If you're new here, then thank you so much for joining on the first episode back of the new year. I say back, there's been no break. We've not had any breaks at all, but this is just the first episode of 2026. So welcome. If you are brand new to the podcast, if you're newly engaged and just now thinking about dipping your toes into the wedding planning space, then welcome. Thank you for joining. I'm so glad you are here. If you hear any grumbles throughout the podcast episode, that is the dog. It's not my stomach. It's not me. It's just the dog. He likes to sit and keep me company whilst we record. So thank you so much for joining. I'm really excited to be back. And I have so many good episodes planned for this year. So if you are wedding planning, if you are in this space and you're looking for advice and tips and inspiration, and maybe you're wondering, how do we plan a wedding day that feels like us, that feels authentic and personal, and it feels just like it was made for us, but it maybe doesn't follow all of the traditions, and it maybe doesn't look like what people expect a wedding to look like in every single aspect, then you are in the right place. This is the podcast for you. I am the wedding planner for you. Have I said that I'm a wedding planner? I'm a wedding planner. If I haven't told that yet, if you don't know that yet, that is me. That is what I do. And I am so grateful to be here sharing the wedding tips and advice with you. So without further ado, we are going to get straight on into things. If you are not yet subscribed, if you are not yet following the podcast, please go and do that now so that you can come back every single week. Every single Wednesday, I release a brand new episode of the podcast, more wedding tips, more wedding advice. Sometimes we have guests on, and we have got some good guests coming this year, I promise you. So you don't want to miss it. Go and follow, and then it'll bring you back every single time that there's a new episode out, and you won't miss it. Also, if you do love it, give us a review. It means the absolute world. That is enough from me. I know this part's boring, so we're going to get straight on into the good stuff today in the episode. Let's go. So today's topic, we are talking today about my top 10 tips for planning a wedding from a wedding planner. So there are heaps and heaps and heaps and heaps and heaps of tips that I could share with you as a wedding planner to you guys as a couple planning your wedding. These are just some of like my top ones. And you know what? This might change. This could change all the time. There are so many things that I'm always like, oh God, that's good advice. That's good advice. I need to share that. Or certain things that I always tell my couples or my clients. There's so many good tips. Honestly, I could, that's what this whole podcast is about, right? Just sharing good tips. But today I'm going to try and concise for you some of my top 10 tips. So the things I think you should be thinking about and focusing on or taking into consideration when you are planning a wedding. So let's get straight into it. We're not going to faff around. We're going to get straight on into it. I'm also going to try and make this like a really helpful, quick, snappy, concise-ish episode because I can talk. I can ramble sometimes. So today I'm going to try and just make things as efficient as I can for you, but do excuse me if I go onto a bit of a tangent. I just love chatting weddings. My first tip for you today that I would like to share is all about mindset. And I think just the topic of mindset in general, my first tip for wedding planning is to focus on your mindset. And you need to have the right mindset going into this, okay? I talk about this a lot. It's something that I'm really passionate about. I believe in positivity and good energy, and that the way you go into a situation or the way you choose to handle a situation has this really amazing domino effect on the way that other things pan out and the way that you feel going forwards, okay? So having a positive mindset, or just a relaxed and a calm and a what will be mindset going into your wedding planning is so important. We can control a lot of things, okay? There are lots of things we can control if we are organized and we plan well and we communicate clearly. We can do so many things, okay? We can find amazing suppliers. We can plan all of the details to a T, and everything can run smoothly, and we can do all of these amazing things. Sometimes life just happens. And it is really naive of anybody going into the wedding planning space to think that nothing will go wrong on your wedding day. Assume that something will go wrong, even if it's something minor, like spilling a glass of water over a bridesmaid's dress. like first thing in the morning and you're like, okay, we're just gonna let it dry. Just gonna let it dry. It's no big deal. But if you choose to be like, oh my God, the day is ruined. My wedding's going to be like, this is just such a bad omen and nothing's going to go right. This is the worst thing that could possibly happen. Picture how that energy is going to carry you through the rest of the day. I talked about this, I think it was in last week's episode or the one before, about how there's certain things you just can't control. Okay. If one of your suppliers comes and there's been a miscommunication or a miscalculation and they're missing some of your chair draping for the ceremony, you wanted to have chair draping on every single chair. This is the example I used in the last episode. And for some reason, the calculations are off and they're missing some of the chair draping. So they're like, now we can't do every chair. You're going to miss some of them. Okay, let's do every other chair instead. No one's going to know it was supposed to be different apart from us. It's a quick fix. Yes, it's a problem. Yes, it's something that's gone wrong. But how are we going to choose to handle this situation? Are you going to kick off and scream and shout and, let it ruin your day and just be miserable and sad and, oh, everything's ruined, nothing's going to plan, and carry that low energy through your day when there's really like nothing you can do about it in that moment? Or are you going to choose to be like, do you know what? I'm still getting married. It's still going to be the best day of my life. It's chair draping. It's a physical thing. It's a materialistic thing that in reality, it's not going to ruin my wedding day. So I'm going to go in with positivity. I like to carry this notion of being positive and looking on the bright side of things, or a silver lining, or even just going into things being like, listen, if I choose to say that this is going to be the best day of my life and that my wedding planning process is going to be so calm, so wonderful, so full of making memories, such a good way to connect with my partner in another level, then that's what it will be. And your mindset is so, so powerful. I am going to do more episodes on this throughout the year. And I have done one previously on mindset and comparison and all these things. So I will link those in the show notes for you. If you're in this kind of space now where you're coming into wedding planning and you're like, oh my God, how do I actually enjoy this without letting my stress get the better of me? Go and listen to some of those episodes. And like I say, I will be doing more because I think your mindset is really important. It's not just about me sitting here and saying to you, this is how you plan a wedding and this is how you coordinate with your suppliers and these are the timings that work great. Yes, those are important things and we do cover those as well. But for me and the way I work, mindset and attitude and the way that we look at things is so, so important as well. So I will be talking about that some more. If it's not for you, fair enough. There's plenty of other tips on here for you, but I know a lot of people kind of related really well to the comparison episode we did, talking about not comparing yourself in the process and how to have a mindset that shifts away from that. And also just to feel less stressed in the wedding planning process. Stress is this thing, I think, in wedding planning that we've turned into like a joke. Like it's funny for people to be like, oh my God, I'm so stressed with wedding planning and all these things and all these to-do lists. And it's become like the memes of Instagram and TikTok, right? To a degree, obviously I can get on board. I'm not the fun police. I'm not going to suck all of the fun out of everything. But there's also a part of me that watches those and thinks, oh my God, it doesn't have to be like that. Like we can enjoy the wedding planning process and we can do it stress-free. We don't have to feel miserable whilst doing it. So I like to find the balance there. I like to find the balance, but mindset is definitely one of my top tips for planning a wedding. Secondly on that list, and I have touched on this a little bit, is don't compare your wedding day to others. Okay? Every single person's wedding day is so individual. You and your partner have your own unique love story that cannot physically be replicated with anyone else's on this planet. Okay? Because it's so unique. The way you met, the first conversations you had, the first meals you had, all of the little things that happened in your life to get you to this point is completely unique. So your wedding day should not be just a copy and paste day of someone else's thing, okay? We should be planning our wedding day with intention. We should be planning our wedding day full of things that mean things to us, that make us feel good, that tell our love story. And the last thing I want you to do is sit there scrolling through Instagram or listening to your friends talking or some family member coming and telling you about their daughter's wedding and you sitting there and thinking, oh, well, I didn't have the 8-piece live band walking us down to the ceremony, and oh, we didn't have this amazing 5-tiered cake with all different flavors. We actually didn't do a cake at all, and we didn't have multiple outfits to change into. Like, is that something we're supposed to be doing? No, it's not. Okay, maybe it is. Maybe some things you can take inspiration from and think, oh, I freaking love that. So yeah, we're going to do that in our wedding day too. But it should only be things that make sense for you. We are not just taking things from everywhere, left, right, and center, and pulling them into our wedding day and calling it our own, because that's not how you do it. Okay. That's not what reflects your love story. So don't feel like you have to compare yourself to others and feel like your wedding day isn't enough and you can't have an amazing wedding day if you're not doing all the things, because that's just not true. Your wedding day should be unique, as your love story is, and stay in your own lane. Okay. It's focus on you and your day, and it's going to be amazing. There are so many things out there. Do you know how many new trends or new ideas that, we've not seen before that are coming into the wedding space have happened in the last few years? Anyone that's had a wedding day before, 2010 could now be sitting there and thinking, oh gosh, I wish I'd known that when we got married, because we would have done that. That's amazing. You're always going to get something like that. You're always going to get those, oh gosh, if I was getting married now, I'd definitely do that. That's so normal. There will be things like that for every single person on this planet, where they see something and think, gosh, I wish we'd done that. Or if we got married again, or if we renewed our vows, we'd do this, this, and this. Normal. Okay. But that's as far as it should go. You shouldn't be beating yourself up and digging into these things and saying, oh gosh, we didn't do that, so it means our wedding was not good enough, and all of these things. Okay, your wedding is perfect as it is. If you are celebrating love and you're making memories and you feel good and excited about all of the decisions you've made, then that is genuinely the only thing that matters. So don't compare your wedding day to others. It's not worth it. And like I said, I did an episode all about this, so I will link that in the show notes for you. Go and listen to it. I talk in a lot more detail about how to avoid comparing, because it's really easy for me to sit here and say, just don't compare. Just don't do that. It's so easy for me to just sit here and throw that advice at you. I've talked in a lot more detail on that episode on how to navigate those feelings, how to work through that process, how to handle family members, and how to kind of take yourself out of a situation where you find yourself spiraling and thinking that your wedding day is just never going to be perfect, and how to actually find comfort in the perfection that is already your own wedding day and your wedding process. Okay, so go and listen to that one if you need some more tips. It's worked out really nicely that I've already got episodes for my top 2 tips. So yeah, if you're looking for something to do after this, then definitely go and listen to those. Tip number 3 is to choose your priorities. Now, this is so important because, like I've just said, there are endless ideas and options and opportunities for planning your wedding. Okay, there are a million things you could choose to include and involve, and it's really easy to think that you need to do everything. And very quickly, you can just have something that feels really messy. There's too much going on and it doesn't feel aligned with you, or you've spent too much money on it and you didn't budget properly. And then you're like, oh, well, now we can't do everything. Knowing your priorities from the very beginning of the wedding planning process is really, really important. Sit down, talk to your partner. What's really important to us? What's a must have? Maybe we have to have the live music, or the food's really important to us. We want to invest more in the food, more time and energy on having amazing food. We're not so fussed about live entertainment. We're okay with a DJ or a Spotify playlist. We don't need the live band. Or we're going to go much cheaper or budget friendly for our outfits because we really want to focus on the decor in the space rather than what we're wearing. We're happy to get something cheaper. Okay, you need to have these conversations on what's a priority for you both. Okay, you might have your own individual priorities and then priorities as a couple as well. Talk them through, make sure they are aligned and that you're in agreement with those things and that you are on the same page. And again, we are being considerate of the other person, understanding maybe why your partner might want that custom made beaded wedding dress. It's easy for you to sit there and say, oh, that's ridiculous, too much money, what a waste of time, don't want to invest in that. But maybe think about why that's so important to the other person. Likewise, if your partner is saying, well, I really like the food is so important to me, have those conversations. Why is it important to you? Help me understand so that we can stay aligned throughout this process. And in general, just having your priorities set from the beginning makes planning so much easier. Because if something comes up and you say, oh gosh, look at this, people are doing live illustrations at weddings now, should we get that? And you can look at your budget and you can say, we are prioritizing other things. Maybe it's something we can look into towards the end of the process if we've still got some money to spare and if it feels like it still fits in. But right now, let's focus on our priorities and not just be like, oh, this looks fun, we'll book it. This looks fun, we'll book it. This looks fun, we'll book it. Because very quickly things can kind of spiral out of control. So just set yourself 3 to 5 priorities. We want to focus on the guest experience. We want a really amazing venue, or we want to have live music playing, or we want to find a venue where we can have fireworks because that's really important to us. Whatever it is, okay, these are individual to you. Have those noted down somewhere, wherever you're choosing to plan things, and check back in with that. Keep checking back in with that to make sure it aligns with your vision. Are we focusing on them? Do we still feel like these are a priority for us? Has it shifted a little bit? I think that really helps to kind of tunnel vision a little bit down the wedding planning process, because you're kind of being pulled in a million different directions, and your brain can sometimes forget the original course of action. So just keep bringing yourself back to that, and yeah, it should help you feel very organized. Leading on very nicely from that, tip number 4 is budget. Track your budget so that you can manage your stress ultimately, and so that you don't overspend. Nobody should be going bankrupt for a wedding. There is a wedding budget for everyone. Some people have the money to go higher budget and they want to do that. Fantastic. Some people really want to go higher budget, but they don't have the money to. And I don't want you to be going into debt or causing yourself financial stress over a wedding if you don't have to. You can go lower budget and have an amazing wedding day. I think I've done an episode on this as well. Look at me go. I've done an episode talking about having a DIY lower budget venue or wedding and making it look higher end. How could we take a village hall or, a really simple venue space that's cost us almost nothing? How can we make that feel like an elegant, expensive wedding? I've talked about it. There's an episode for that. I will put it in the show notes. You don't always have to have £100,000 to spend on a wedding to make it an amazing wedding day. And remember what it's all about as well. I'm all for spending money on your wedding. I'm all for investing in those things. You will never hear me being one of those people that says weddings are a waste of money, they're too expensive. I'm not going to be that person. If you want to spend money on your wedding, please spend money on your wedding. But it's finding that balance, isn't it? And it's finding a budget that works for you. So you need to be having this conversation, what your dream budget is and what your actual affordable budget is. It's going to be very different. Set your budget from the beginning. I have episodes on budget. I will link those below. Essentially, for all of these tips, there is an episode for that. So this is a really nice starting point for the year, I think. If you're coming in, listening to the podcast and you're like, well, I'm just starting to plan my wedding, what do I do? This is a really good episode, actually. Well done, me. Because you can now go and find like your perfect follow-up episode from this one to really get you started in the wedding planning process. Okay. Unless you're very type A like me and you have to listen to a podcast from start to finish, regardless of how many episodes there are. I can't bring myself to start midway through. I have to start from the beginning and like do it in order. If you're that kind of person, I feel you. There's 52 of them. This is number 53. So, have a nice binge of the episodes. But if you're looking for something to head straight to from here, perfect opportunity. There will be heaps of links for you in the show notes. So go and find the one that suits you best. But as I was saying, budget. Sit down at the start of the process. Don't book anything. Don't sign any contracts. Do not pass go until you have set yourself a budget. Okay. I have a friend who I love dearly. I remember talking to her when she was planning her wedding and she was like, no, we don't really have a budget. We're just, just kind of booking stuff. Oh my God, it sent my anxiety through the roof. I was like, what do you mean you don't have a budget? And I don't think they were going for anything like super, super extravagant and like, out of the realm of being budget friendly. But oh my gosh, I was like, how can you not have a budget? How can you not know the figures? Where's your spreadsheet? So I understand not everybody is keen on looking at budgets and numbers, and it's not fun for everyone. It's not sexy talking about numbers and budgets, but it's so, so important. Even if it's basic and you're just saying, we are going to spend £30,000 and you need an emergency budget as well. Let me say that you need to set aside 5 to 10% of your actual budget, put it aside for an emergency, because there are last minute costs. There will be hidden things that I don't like to call them hidden fees, maybe more like surprise costs that you haven't thought about that crop up later down the line. And you're like, oh, we didn't know we'd have to pay for that. Or I didn't think about having to pay for this. And it could be 50 quid here, £100 there, £200 there. You need to have an emergency budget set aside. It's going to make your life so much easier. But you just need to track this budget, right? You need to have a budget and say, for example, figure pulled out of the air, £30,000. We are going to spend £10,000 of that on our venue. We are going to spend £5,000 of that on food. And then we're going to spend £2,000 on drinks. And like these are numbers pulled out of the air. They are not accurate. Do not quote me on any of this. Every single wedding is different and you will spend a different amount on every single wedding. But you need to be setting aside these like rough guides. We want to ideally spend no more than £1,000 on all of our outfits. For example, wedding dress and suit. Okay, are we going to do bridesmaids and groomsmen? Okay, another £1,000 for those. That's what we're going to put into that to buy dresses and suits. Okay, set aside this idea, these categories of how much budget you have and where you want that money to go. And this is where your priorities really come into play as well, because you can say, well, we really want to prioritize our food. So we're going to put more money into the food to have a really luxury 5-course meal. And we're just going to go for really simple wedding outfits instead. We're not going to spend more than £200 on what we wear each. Okay. So you start to get a picture of where your money is going, where you want it to go, and what's realistic for you. It's so easy if you don't have a budget to just go out and start spending and start booking. And then you're like, how have we spent £20,000 already? Where's the money gone? We haven't even got any styling yet. We haven't even booked our flowers. We haven't even sorted out anything to wear. We haven't got hair and makeup artists. And we've got no money to spend left. Please don't be in that position. Please set yourself a budget. If you're not that kind of tech budget savvy person, there are so many templates out there, so many easy things that you can buy or get for free, so many tips and advice out there that you can watch and just help yourself understand it. You can message me if you've got questions. I really want you to make sure that you are handling your budget in a really responsible way. Like I said, it's not sexy, but not every part of wedding planning is fun. But this is the stuff that if it gets out of control, it causes that stress. It causes that spiral. You start to feel miserable. You start to feel negative. You think that it's just not worth doing. And I don't want that for any of you. So we catch this at the beginning. We start as we mean to go on, organized, calm, in control, confident, and everything goes much smoother. Okay. So please track your budget. I hope you're enjoying this episode. I just wanted to share something with you really quickly before we carry on. If you are feeling a little bit stuck when it comes to wedding traditions and you want your wedding day to feel more like you, then this is for you. My free wedding traditions checklist helps you decide what really matters to you, what to keep the same, what to adjust, and what to completely scrap, so that you can plan a wedding day that feels personal and authentic to you. You'll find it linked in the show notes now, and I really hope it helps. Tip number 5 is to take breaks. As much as wedding planning is exciting, and as much as I love telling you to plan your wed-min nights and do this and do that and get organized and do all the fun things, you need to take breaks, okay? Because you have a life outside of wedding planning. You are working and maybe you have kids, maybe you want to socialize, you still have a relationship to nurture throughout this. You've got house chores to do and trips you might be going on, okay? Not everything needs to be about the wedding, and it's actually really good for your mental health to take some breaks away from it, to get some perspective, if nothing else. If you're struggling to make decisions, take a break. If you're feeling overwhelmed and like you've done nothing but talk about the wedding in the last 2 weeks, take a break. It's okay to take a couple of days off, a few nights, a date night out where you agree to not talk about the wedding at all. Okay, stop scrolling. Turn your social media off for a day if your algorithms have caught you in wedding talk and all of these things. It's okay to take the breaks, and I actively encourage those because it gives you some perspective, and also it's too much if you are doing it 24/7 and it quickly takes over your life. When you then have the wedding and you finish all of that stuff and you've now got no wedding to plan anymore. This is why people get the wedding blues, because they're like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what my life is without wedding planning anymore. Like, it's all I've done every single day for the last 2 years. Now what do I do with myself? Take breaks, enjoy planning without all of those things stressing you out every day. You know, an email can wait for a day. The closer you get to the wedding, this is the thing as well, take the breaks early on, because the closer you get to the wedding, the more you will feel like you can't stop. So start the habits as you mean to go on, take the breaks, do a nice little weekend away and just be a couple in a relationship together, not having to stress about the details and the emails and the contracts and the bookings and the inspo, and just be a couple for a weekend and kind of come back to all of that stuff. So taking breaks is really, really important. Tip number 6 is to ask for help. This is such an underrated tip, in my opinion. I think it's really important for you to remember that your suppliers are experts in this. Okay, so ask your suppliers questions, ask their opinions, ask for their advice, ask your friends and family for tips and advice. Obviously, if there's only so much you want tips and advice on, then keep some things to yourself if you want to. But also remember that your friends and family might have been through this before if they are married. The wedding space does change a lot quite quickly. So, and this is why we sometimes get the divide between like generations, where you've got your mum saying, no, 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 you can't do this. This is how you have to do a wedding. And now we're in a new space of weddings and breaking traditions and all of these things. And you're like, actually, mum, it's not quite how they do it anymore, or how we want to do it. So it can cause some conflict. I understand that. But I don't want you to shy away from asking people for help or opinions, or even just help. Can you come over and craft with me for a night? I want to make my invitations from scratch. Can you come over and help me? And we'll have a fun night. We'll get some pizzas in and some snacks, and we'll just work on all the wedding crafts. Ask people for help, because this is a lot, okay? And it can feel quite isolating when, especially if you want to keep everything a surprise, then you're keeping everything in. You're like, we don't want to tell anyone about it. We want to do it all ourselves. We want to have control of everything. And then suddenly you're like, oh my gosh, now we feel like we're so isolated in this. So ask your friends and family for help. That's what they're there for. They want to help you. They're excited for you. But also, don't underestimate how much knowledge your suppliers have. We are experts in our field, okay? And we want to help you. We want you to have an amazing wedding day. And it's that thing, isn't it? If there's no such thing as a stupid question, particularly in weddings, because you've not had a wedding before most of the time. 9.9 times out of 10, most people I work with have not been married before. So you don't know how to plan a wedding. And people say, oh, I plan events and I always do the family parties and I always do that. It's so, so different. The things you have to consider in wedding planning, and also when it's your own wedding. Okay. And you might have questions about like, oh, how does this work? And is it normal to do this? And can we do this? And can we do that? Ask the questions and let your suppliers help you, because we want you to have an amazing day. Also, it takes some of that pressure off you. It takes some of that stress off when you're like, oh my gosh, I just feel overwhelmed and I don't know if I'm doing it right. And ask for help. And you can always take it back later on. You know, if you say, I've asked for help and actually now I've decided I would rather do it on my own, that's okay. But if you don't ask for help, you'll never know if it would have helped you in the first place. So yeah, definitely one of my top tips. Not enough couples ask for help as much as they should, I think. My next tip for you is to silence unwanted opinions. This is a big one, and we've talked about this quite a lot in the past year on family expectations and tension and people putting their nose in perhaps where it shouldn't be. Weddings bring out this weird side in people. It brings out these opinions and things that people wouldn't normally do or say in regular life. But when it's a wedding, suddenly it's like okay to do, apparently. And this can bring a lot of stress. I actively encourage people to put their boundaries in place with things that are really important to you. If you are doing something a bit different, if you're not following the expectations and the traditions that perhaps people think you should be, you can silence the voices around you saying, you can't do that and you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that, just by simply saying, we're really excited about it, or thank you so much, we're actually going to organize this by ourselves. Or, you know, I think it's really important to put the boundaries in place and silence the voices that are trying to put a dampener on your wedding vibes and honestly just ruin things. There are some people that just don't want other people to be happy, and it's miserable. And when it comes to weddings, I'm just not going to stand for it. I'm not. I want you to have an amazing day. And if that means asking your nan to stop telling you that you can't wear a green wedding dress because you want to wear a green wedding dress, then maybe that's what we need to do. If you've got your uncle or your granddad and all your cousins kicking off because of the seating plan, then maybe we just say it's all sorted out, nothing to worry about, it's all going to be good, and you just seat them where you want to seat them anyway. Because on the day, really, who's going to kick off? They're just going to get on with it. And if they do kick off, that's a problem we deal with on the day. Perhaps maybe you don't want them there anyway, if they're going to kick off about seating plan. Do you know what I mean? It starts to get you thinking about all these things. I don't want anyone bringing down your vibe with their negativity and opinions that you just haven't asked for, and people not respecting that this is your wedding day and it's a really special process for you. So we're going to put our boundaries in place. We've talked about this as well, I'm pretty sure. Putting boundaries in place and communication is really, really important here. Communicate with your partner from the get-go. How are we going to handle, you know, you'll know the people in your family that you're concerned about. You'll know the people that you're like, we need to be careful what you say around this person. And you'll know what certain things you say, well, let's just not tell anyone that we're doing this differently. They can just find out on the day. Okay. And then if they've got negative things to say, we're not going to know about it because we're going to be wrapped up in our own little wedding bubble. It's not going to matter. But we don't want this constant before of like opinions that just aren't relevant to us and that are just making us feel miserable. So maybe it's that. Communicate with your partner first off, decide what your direction is, and then just put those boundaries in place for people that just want to bring you down. We have got no time or space for those around here. This tip follows on really nicely from that one as well. Tip number 7 is to choose your own traditions. You know, on the podcast, if you've listened to this before, or if you've worked with me, or if you follow me at all, you know how important it is to me with my business, Elegance Unlimited, to reinvent tradition, to break free from the confines of tradition in the way that we feel like we have to. If you want to have the most traditional wedding day in the world, amazing. I love that for you if that's what you want to do. Okay. And it would not stop you from me from working with you either. Okay. Because it's not that I only work with people that want to do things differently. The way I like to work is I want to encourage you to have a wedding day that suits you. We're not just following traditions for the sake of it. We are not just doing things because we feel like we have to. We're doing things because they make sense for us. Okay. If walking down the aisle with your dad doesn't feel right for you, is there a different way you can do it? I've talked about multiple different ways you can reinvent the tradition of walking down the aisle. You know, some people don't even want to walk down the aisle. They don't want to be looked at in that way. Some people choose to just already be there, and then their guests come in and see them already in the room, and that's more comfortable for them. Some people have chosen to walk down with their partner. Some people choose to walk down with their father and their stepdad. Some people choose their brother. Some people choose their best friends. Some people walk down alone. Some people walk down, each member of the couple walks down and meets each other in the middle from opposite sides of the room. Beautiful. There are so many different ways you can change up what is expected and what is normal. If you don't want to wear a white wedding dress, don't wear a white wedding dress. White doesn't make you a bride, okay? Being the bride makes you a bride. And again, you know, you don't have to be a bride either if you don't want to be. All of this applies for brides and grooms and same-sex couples and heterosexual couples and all of those things. This is how you want to do your wedding day. Do you want to do a sit-down meal? Yes or no? Would you rather do food trucks instead? Then do that, okay? We don't really want to do speeches at mealtime. We'd rather do them earlier on in the day. Amazing, do it. Actually, we don't really want to do speeches at all. We're not going to do any. Amazing, okay? You don't have to follow what's already, I say, always been done, what's traditionally been done. And I advocate for that so freaking hard around here because I think it's so important. Wedding regrets are brutal. I don't want you doing anything and feeling uncomfortable in those moments or feeling like you just did it because you had to, because that's not comfortable and that's not what makes you feel amazing on your wedding day, that you're investing so much time and love and energy and money into. So we're not doing that, okay? I do have a freebie. I do. And I know everyone loves a freebie. So if you haven't yet downloaded it, I do have a free wedding traditions checklist. Okay. And this goes through some typical standard wedding traditions that we expect to see in the wedding space. And you can choose whether you want to keep it as it is, whether you want to change it to suit you a bit more, or whether you want to scrap it completely. And it's a really nice starting point for trying to figure out which traditions you want to keep, what suits you, good conversation starters for you and your partner. So if you want to download that, you can. I will leave it in the show notes as well below. This is going to be a juicy show notes for you to go and find loads of info from, but it's down there. You can download it. It's free. It's just like a PDF that you can download, print out if you want to, or do some typing and clicking already on your laptop and things. But it's a really nice starting point, and I hope that it helps. Tip number 9 of top tips for wedding planning is to add buffer time into your timeline. Buffer time is your best friend. Okay? Repeat that again. It is your best friend. On the wedding day, it goes so quickly. So quickly. Everyone says it as you're getting home. The day's going to go so quick. You won't believe yourself. But every single time my couples on the wedding day are like, oh my God, where's the day gone? How is it 8 o'clock already? What's happened? It goes so quick. Okay. And with that essentially means that there's just so much going on. So many moving parts of the day, so many things going on, and you want to make the most of every single second of that day, okay? So we want to make sure we are allowing adequate time for everything we want to happen. This is particularly key for the morning section of the day where you're maybe on this time crunch to get yourself to the ceremony. The ceremony has to be at a specific time. You need to make it down the aisle in time, but you need to get ready beforehand. A lot of people now want to do a first look, or maybe they're doing private vows. You might have your interviews before your registrar-led ceremony. Maybe you want to get some photos in before. Maybe you want to have first looks with your bridesmaids. You need to make sure you're eating something. Maybe you've got to travel from one space to the other. The morning time is like a really busy, typically like a crunch time in the day. I don't want anyone putting into their timeline, yeah, we're going to do a first look. We'll just have a couple of minutes for that. Just a couple of minutes. No, thank you. 5 to 10 minutes. Okay. Because you need to maybe go find someone at another place in the venue. You want to allow yourself time to have pictures taken and soak in that moment. You don't just want to do a first look and be like, okay, sweet, off we go. Soak in the moment, enjoy talking to your friends or your family for a minute, have the hugs, have some tears, maybe you then need to touch up your makeup, allow like time for these moments in the day and allow time for the moments to be cherished and not rushed. I think that's really important. Even if your ideal time for a drinks reception is, an hour and a half, hour and 15 minutes, you don't want it to go on too long. Please allow those extra 15 minutes because I've said this before, you can borrow time from other parts of the wedding day. If something is running late or running early and you're like, gosh, where are we going to get 15 minutes from? We need to push this back a bit. Take it from your wedding breakfast, take it from your drinks reception. We can move this time around when there is buffer time. When you are working from the minute to the minute, at 10 minutes past 12, we need to be doing this. At 13 minutes past 1, we need to be doing this. It's too tight. You need buffer time. You need flexibility because life doesn't always go super smoothly and exactly as you hope it will. So please, 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 please include that buffer time and plan that into your timeline. I've talked about timeline in an episode previously as well. Of course I have, but I am going to be talking about it again. I want to dive a little bit more into the timeline of the day and how to plan your wedding day timeline, how to make sure there is enough time for everything, how to make sure that your wedding timeline suits you and your wedding day specifically because it's unique, as we've said. So I will be talking about that some more. If you've got questions about it or there's anything specific you want me to dive into, then please do let me know. But I will be talking about that some more this year as well. And the final tip of this episode, I said this episode is going to be a short one. I've been talking for almost 40 minutes, but I really hope it's been helpful. The final tip of this episode is to communicate. Communication is so, so, so important. Check in regularly with your partner, with your suppliers, with your venue, with yourself, okay? Make sure you are on the same page and avoid these problems, okay? I don't want anyone making decisions and realizing, I didn't actually check with my partner if they were 100% comfortable with this. And now you're having disagreements because they're like, I wouldn't have wanted to spend as much money on that. I'm not that fussed about it. It's not a priority. And then we're kind of coming into these disagreements. The same thing with you saying, I'm pretty sure that one of the suppliers, our florist, said they were going to arrive at 10 a.m. on the day. And then on the day, there's not enough time. The florist has had a miscommunication thinking your ceremony is at 12:30 and it's actually at 12 and they didn't have enough time to set up because you just assumed that they were coming at 10 and actually they turned up at 10:30. There's not enough time. Little things, okay? We want to communicate regularly, check in multiple times. Can I just confirm? I know you said you're arriving at 10. Can I just confirm it's still 10 o'clock? And check in with that again a couple of months before the day, okay? These details matter. And it's really important. Communicating with your family, like we said, with those boundaries, with the expectations. If you are having a wedding party and you're having bridesmaids and groomsmen, or anyone that's just involved in having that kind of part in your day, maybe they're witnesses, maybe they are a friend or family is officiating a ceremony, communicate with them. What is expected of them? What time do you expect of them? What should they be investing money-wise if they're going to have to be a part of your journey? What are you expecting them to pay for? Be clear and upfront with that from the beginning so that you don't have people feeling like they've been blindsided or that they weren't kind of consulted about it before. And then you're getting stressed because people are saying, actually, I can't afford to do this anymore. Sorry. Then you're feeling like you're not getting the journey that you wanted. Communicate. It's so, so important. And again, something that I think can be put on the back burner a little bit when you're looking at all the fun inspiration and everything's beautiful and it's exciting. We're just planning a wedding and we're just go, 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 take things off the list. And then suddenly you're like, I feel like we're now at a bit of kind of an impasse because we didn't communicate about this sooner and now we're disagreeing on things or information's been miscommunicated and now we're having to handle that and sort all of those things out. Communicate more than you think you need to in a wedding planning process. I know for myself, I'm always checking things again and again and again. If there's something that I've got the slightest inkling that I'm like, I can't find that email where it says you were going to be there at 7 a.m. Let's just double check that. And can I just confirm that it's still the same? I know we checked in about it 3 months ago. We've now only got a month to go to the day. I'm just going to double, triple confirm that this is the time you're arriving because I don't want to be missing anything on the day and I don't want anything to kind of fly under the radar. Communication, super, super important. That is all 10 tips. There's so many more things I could talk about, of course. And I'm sure if this is your first episode listening and you've just listened to all of that and I said, I'm going to keep this concise and I've been talking for 40 minutes, then you might understand me a little bit better now. I want this to be so helpful for you and I love giving advice to you. So I hope that this has been helpful. These are some of my top tips, the things that I would recommend when you're wedding planning, things to take into account, things to consider. Most importantly of all, I just want you to enjoy this process. I want it to be one of the best journeys of your life because it is exciting and you are going into this next chapter together and you're not going to do this again, probably, unless you renew your vows. So I really want it to be special for you. So I hope this has been helpful. If you have more questions about anything or if there's a topic you want me to cover, please do get in touch. As I said earlier, I release episodes every Wednesday, so there will be another one next week. Come back and listen. Make sure you are following. Make sure you subscribe. Please leave us a review. It means the absolute world. And I will be back next week. Thank you so much for listening. Find everything you need in the show notes. Okay, go and have a good scramble through there and find something else to itch that wedding planning urge that you've got going on. And I will speak to you next week. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to Your Wedding Unlimited. If you want help creating a wedding day that's personal, authentic, and true to you, head over to the show notes now. You'll find my free wedding traditions checklist to help you decide what to keep, what to adjust, or what to completely reinvent. And if you're ready for more hands-on support, you could also inquire about working with me there too. Make sure you're following the podcast to be brought back next Wednesday. Happy planning!